Welcome back to Empower Indie Podcast. This podcast creates space for honest conversations about health, well-being, and community resources to help people in southwestern North Dakota live healthy, full lives. The Empower Indie Podcast is produced by Women Empowering Women, a nonprofit organization dedicated to connecting, supporting, and educating women to help them become the best versions of themselves. To become a member or learn more, visit wewnetwork.org. Welcome back to the Empower Indie podcast. Today we're diving into a conversation that is geared around assistive devices that can help disabilities. So we have Janelle Stone King here from Able Incorporated. So let's get started.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. We've had you on the podcast before, so kind of just refresh us of who you are and what you do at Able.
Absolutely. So I serve as the current CEO for Able Incorporated, but I've worked there pretty much my entire adult life. So I have grown up in this world of supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So I'm glad to talk about assistive technology because I've learned a lot about technology over my years at Able. So this is a really fun topic for me.
Okay, awesome. So just refresh everyone, for someone who's never heard of Able Incorporated before, how would you describe what your organization does?
Yes, at Able Incorporated, we support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and all areas of their life, might be residentially, wherever they live, or they may live in one of our supportive group homes. Um, we also provide vocational services for people and help them with maintain great jobs doing things that they love and just helping people live and do what they want in their community and being volunteers and enjoying life.
Okay, so let's talk about this program. Can you kind of walk us through this new assistive technology program in North Dakota and what it is at a high level?
Yeah, so we all know how technology has helped us in our lives. I mean, it's been a game changer in so many levels for all of us. And it's no different for people with disabilities. I think it has really opened up the world to give a lot of independence for people, and also have more control in their lives in areas that they need some support. In the past, people would have had to give that support, but now assistive technology can really fill some of those support needs. And so, recognizing there's a lot of barriers with finding technology and figuring it out and making it work. Also, a group of us across the state went, let's figure this out easier and find a way to create a platform that will work in a more universal way for people and simplify all of those problems. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, well, let's kind of dive into that development. So, how did Indie Protection and Advocacy, Warehouse 13, and the task force come together to build this?
It kind of started accidentally, I think. I mean, through many of us talking about technology usage and the importance of it. And at Able Incorporated, it was probably back in the early 2010, 11. We started diving into just more research on what was happening across the country and seeing that a lot of places were seeing the impact. We saw what iPads did. And it was like, wow, this opened up a whole nother world for people to communicate and have assistive technology right in their hands. Um, and as far as those conversations started, we realized that there were some barriers. Like we should be able to buy equipment that's needed for people under some of their waivered services, but it wasn't working because the waiver didn't cover it the way it needed to because it hadn't caught up with technology and where it was at.
Yeah.
So we just realized some of the barriers around this, and I worked with North Dakota Protection and Advocacy, who is also exploring this, and said, well, let's find some partners, and that's where we became introduced to Warehouse 13 and the great team there who is inventing and doing great business with new products.
Awesome. Yeah, I have, even as a provider, having kiddos that have speech delays and having them get the tablet and be able to communicate with their parents and tell them what they need is so fun to watch. they just like blossom after they get those devices. So, what shared vision or goal from the beginning of this project?
I think just simplifying things, like it
Mhm.
should not be so hard when you can see the impact of those devices, like you
Right,
said. Um, there's so much that even early on in technology, it just seems so complicated. And as technology got easier to use, for us, then the systems were complicated. Like we couldn't get it covered
right,
through the funding streams, right? That should have covered it. So that's really what our vision was, to have a platform that was ready to go, that people could know who to call and have a diverse amount of options, for tools to make their life easier and all in one place, without all the hiccups.
right. I think that would be really good for providers too to know where do we go to get these patients the services that they need or the devices that they need.
Hmm.
Because usually it's like you read an order, well, then it's the wrong diagnosis code, and then it's the wrong, nope, you needed this service and they need to be at this age. So having a platform will be really helpful.
Absolutely. The team at Warehouse 13, that's one thing, is they've really dug into some of these different coverages for different services and trying to
Hmm.
understand how to navigate those pathways so much easier, just
Hmm.
to recognize how to best get these devices covered for people, especially if they can't afford them and need it
Right.
covered. It's just really neat to see. It's still in early stages, but we're
Hmm.
getting really close.
Awesome. So for listeners who may not be familiar, how do you define assistive technology?
Really, it's any technology that can assist a person in being more independent and successful in life. So I think about how much my Apple Watch saves the day, right? I mean, it's
Hmm.
assistive technology for me. Um, on the most basic level, many of us have them, but I can't find my phone. I don't know where it is. All of a sudden, I know it's ringing. My watch answers it, right? I can
Hmm.
just carry on. Like it saves
Yeah.
the day. Simplifying my life in a way that I needed in that moment. Assistive technology can look different for many people in many different ways. Could be as something as simple as a plate that has a raised curved edge because people have a hard time keeping food on the spoon as they lift it off the plate. It gives them an edge to work off of to get some
Right.
leverage.
Mm.
That's an assistive device.
Right.
And so what do we use that creates simplicity in our life and makes it easier?
So, with the platform that's coming out, can you kind of walk us through how someone would actually use this step by step?
Absolutely. And I might have to hesitate a minute. I'm still new
Okay.
at this myself. We're just running through our first
Hmm.
devices
Awesome.
through Warehouse 13 at Able Incorporated. Uh, so basically, once I recognize a need, and not even knowing what device I might need, just that there
Hmm.
is a need, like I'm a little concerned that this person won't respond to a smoke detector if it's going
Mm.
off. And maybe it's because they may not understand it, or maybe they have hearing loss. I'm just concerned. How are we going to know? And are they going to have the help they need in those moments? So it's as easy as knowing, well, I can call Warehouse 13, and or North Dakota Assistive is another great organization that will
Hmm.
direct you right to Warehouse 13 and say, here's my concern. I don't know if they're going to have the safety awareness they need, and basically, they can align that person with a smoke detector that works with the portal that they have designed for equipment. And we can set up that smoke detector so it can be easily installed in their home and replace the one that's there. And, or be adjacent to it, even doesn't have to
Hmm.
replace it, can be next to it. And when that smoke detector goes off, it not only alerts them, but it'll text myself or give me a phone call if it's during the night.
Okay.
If I don't answer, it can text a variety of people down a call
Hmm.
tree until someone responds, to make sure that someone's aware and can go help
Right.
that person. Um, it's giving an extra layer of support in some of those
Right.
areas of life. So that's just one example of one of the devices that I
Hmm.
think will be tremendously valuable for peace of mind.
Yeah.
I think about many of us who even have parents who are aging,
Right.
and you still worry, like, are they going to need help and I'm not there? What devices would be helpful to notify me if something happens so I can show up and be there to respond. Could be things like motion detectors in their home. Maybe I don't see any motion in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It'll alert me if there's no motion in the kitchen by noon that day. Then I know
Okay.
something's wrong with my loved one.
Right.
If they haven't come out to the kitchen by noon, we have
Mm-hmm.
a problem.
Yeah.
So you can set these devices up to notify you on so many different parameters through this
It's really
portable.
cool.
Yeah, oh, it's so neat.
So tell me kind of about funding and access to these devices and the technology.
Yeah, a lot of these devices can just be purchased outright if a person has the capacity to afford them, which I mean, there's some I'll look at purchasing for my own home, honestly, just for ease of use.
Mhm.
There's some things that I think are just really handy for every family to have, especially with kids and
Right.
different things that we have
Mm-hmm.
happening in our home. Um, but if a person can't just purchase it outright, then there are different funding streams based on whether it's a medical need or whether it's a need through if they have residential services or
Mm-hmm.
behavioral health, if it fits through the home and community-based services waiver, just looking at how we can get that device approved and
Right.
covered and paid for.
So how does this platform help reduce barriers or delays in getting equipment?
Oh my goodness. Sometimes it would take so long, not just with getting the equipment because it was hard to get things covered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Once even we navigated that and it was easier, sometimes it's just hard to get equipment. I know we supported a couple of women at Able who needed a stove guard device. Stove safety is a huge issue for many folks with disabilities or aging people in our community or people with dementia. And so that's another initiative I'm working on. But I think one of our support coordinators had those stove guard devices on order for almost a year and without them being delivered because they were all back ordered. With this equipment sometimes being in high demand, it can be tough to get
Right.
things. So just having Warehouse 13, somebody in North Dakota who can provide this equipment and have things on hand, it gives us a
Mm-hmm.
tremendous amount of comfort knowing that we have what we need.
Right.
We won't be waiting for a year when somebody has an immediate need right now.
Right. So how does the assistive technology change daily life for people who use it?
Oh, it depends on what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Um, we have folks that we've supported at Able who were able to continue living in their apartments for years because we had remote monitoring on their doors, um, and we would know if they'd need something. If they exit or open their front door, then it's like, oh, they need something here. Where are they headed? Let's go check on, see what they need. It just offers that level of safety and security that
Mm-hmm.
also a lot of people's loved ones just really feel better about. Um, just because the world can be a scary place,
Right.
especially if you have somebody that you love with an intellectual disability who wants to live independently
Mm-hmm.
in their own apartment, in the community,
Right.
and just live their life. But to know that somebody can still check on them and know what their needs are if those things arise, it's tremendously valuable. Um, the devices really, depending on what they are, they allow a lot of independence and freedom. Sometimes we have people we've supported over the years who had staff with them pretty much 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
And not because they needed to be there, it was because of the health and safety needs,
Right.
right? Because they can't respond to a fire alarm, that they can't pick up the phone and dial 911.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have somebody there with them who can,
Right.
just because life's unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now if you have a smoke detector like that in place in an apartment, you don't need a person sitting there, right?
Right.
I can be anywhere and hear that
Mm-hmm.
alarm's going off. So they don't have to have someone in their space and in their
Yeah.
homes and in their business all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We can have the safety needs met
Right.
without having to be present. And imagine how freeing that is.
Yeah, I'm sure that that helps them quite a bit.
It's amazing. It also has reduced a lot of issues on the behavioral health side
Yeah.
because when people have more freedom and independence and you have space, you don't have to get irritated and frustrated with others around you all the time.
Right.
It's a game changer. This whole world is opening up in ways that I don't think any of us anticipated.
That's awesome though. So, what do you hope this changes long term for individuals and families across the state?
As we learn and pilot this project and help build confidence in Warehouse 13 and make sure that their team have all of these kinks worked out on the funding and the devices are meeting needs, I just see a really smooth pipeline for families and loved
Mm-hmm.
ones and people with disabilities to be able to go to and have everything in one place that they need with service and people that are there to understand and help without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the beautiful piece of this is also that portal. It's basically a website where a person's devices are all connected to one website, and a login on that site. And so as a provider, I can check on several people at once and see how things are going, um, seeing if they need more support than what they're getting or less. Of course,
Right.
all of these pieces of technology are seen as rights limiting in a lot of ways, because if I have somebody monitoring my front door to know if I'm leaving, that's a rights restriction.
Mhm.
So we do this for independence for people, not to take away their freedoms. We're very cautious, and we have to run things through the Human Rights Committee and Behavior Support Committee
Mhm.
when we put these things in place, and only use it for the betterment of people and to make sure that their needs are met. But it is neat to see how this will change the parameters of what services will look like
Mhm.
and just give people so much more space and freedom.
So, if you had to leave listeners with one message about assistive technology and this new system, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, I'm not done yet. I There's so much more for people to learn and understand. It's crazy. Just because there's so much out there. It's like the little things of right now. I know Ted at Warehouse 13 is testing brief sensors for people that need to wear products at night if they can't make it to the restroom. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people are woken up repeatedly during the night to make sure they don't need changed?
Oh,
And for
yeah.
the first time in their lives, my phone will just notify me when they need changed, and they can have peace and freedom until 4 a.m. comes and it's
Mhm.
time. What's happening with technology is tremendously valuable. I think for us to just see it, just as we see our Apple Watches and our Ring security doorbells and
Mhm.
all of these things that make our lives better, some of these devices might look a little different than the devices we use in our homes, but
Right.
it's all on the same level. It's
Mhm.
all there to help, and um, it's going to strengthen the capacity for people to live and be more independent in so many ways. So, whatever people can do to support this and love on this project
Right.
and assistive technology, I am like, do it. It is good. This is good stuff.
Awesome. Well, a big thank you to Janelle for helping us better understand this technology and this new platform coming out. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and we'll see you on the next Empower Indeed podcast.